Hi, and welcome to another Hopper on 6502 video. This one is a little bit of an addendum video. If you've watched the whole series on the MECB 6502 machine, in I think the last or the second last video in the series, it shows you how to get Hopper up and running on your MECB. But I've made some improvements since then, so I'm going to quickly summarize what's changed. In case you don't know what the MECB is, it's a kit 6502 that you can get from Digicool Things. He supports other CPUs as well, but it's a 6502 if you're using this 6502 CPU card. You can order these kits on Tindy. They're pretty rugged, and they're easy to put together as well. And there's a great user forum for helping you out if you get stuck. This is the user forum. There you go. Anyway, the last time I did a video on how to get Hopper up and running on this board, we had no way of storing the user Hopper program on the board. So if you did a power cycle, so let's demo that quickly. So I've got it running in the debugger here, so I can stop the debugger. I've got Control C. So this is Hopper like running in the debugger. So F10 to just step through instructions and continue blinking my LED. So you can see it's blinking much slower now that I'm manually blinking it. And if I want to step into how something works, like how does that LED property work? F11, it steps into it and go in there, pin mode, so you can step through all the source code. So you've got a full symbolic debugger for a high-level language called Hopper that's running on this board. Okay, let's exit out of this, Alt F4, title bar changes, I'm back in the source code. But what happens if I hit the reset button on the board? Wait a little bit, and then the light starts blinking again. So that means independent of my debugging environment or loading it, the most recently uploaded program is still on the board and it'll run. And I can do the same thing if I power cycle. So if I turn the power off and then power it up again, wait a little bit and it starts blinking again. So this means the user's program is being stored on the board, and it's being stored in this little serial EEPROM. And so what we've got is we've got a little I2C interface coming out of the parallel port here and being used for my LED. I've got a user button there, and the user button is used it's like a boot button for the opposite of what a boot button does on a RP2040 microcontroller. If you hold it down while you boot, it won't automatically load the program in case you've got a program loaded that's causing your machine to hang on startup. So you can unbrick it with the button. Anyway, all of this came about on a different project that I was doing for this board. So I've got something called the Hopper 8K BIOS, which has got nothing to do with Hopper, but it did need a file system and it did need a way to store files. So I used the serial, the I2C on the parallel port and the serial EEPROM to create a file system. And then what I've done just recently is I've gone back to Hopper and made Hopper be able to use the same file access, the same storage, so that it can store your user program. Anyway, Hopper can now store your user program. So very quick run through instructions, and I'll put a link to this in the description. If you want to know how to get Hopper up and running on this machine, just go through the video series. So I'll put a link to the playlist for the MEBC also at the end of this video. So this documentation is about the Hopper 8K BIOS, not about Hopper. But there's a section here about the I2C EEPROM adapter for the MECB with a schematic of how you build your own adapter depending on which EEPROMs you've got. How the LED's hooked up to port A pin 0, how the button's hooked up to port A pin 1, and then the clock and data for I2C are hooked up to port A 6 and 7, which is different to how it is on the Hopper single board computer where they hooked up to port B 6 and 7. It's just port B on this PIA doesn't work the same way. There's some photographs of this is Dave's board, so the one he built. I have A2 hooked to positive for a different EEPROM, so that's why this line is red, because it's also ground. They're all to ground if you've got the 512, which is the one he had. So we figured that out together, and that's what my board looks like, very similar. And I've still got A2 hooked to positive, and there's my button for unbricking and my little LED on port A0. He has an LED as well, and also has a button. Right. So the instructions on this page are here just to tell you how to build this little board. I might just get a PCB made as well. Why not? And then you can just download the PCB and get one from get a PCB made for you at a bureau. But for now, you got to make it up yourself. Anyway, that's about it. So you've now got file storage for your Hopper programs on your MECB. I can rebuild here. Oh, and yeah, I'm now building for boards. I think I was already doing this. So the way you make a Hopper program work on a board is you simply do that. Use the correct board. So we could go. And this is also, so just the same way I was doing a Pi Pico or Pi Pico 2, I can build Mandelbrot for the MECB 6502. So if I build it here, and then the other way you can get to, so you can use the debugger, so I can upload it like that and start running it. And this little console window on the right is a bit small for the Mandelbrot, so let's get out of there. Exit to the console, and then the other way you can get to your machine over the serial port. Oh yeah, important. Baud rate. We've got the board switched to, and that's with these dip switches here, the blue one, to 19200, and that's because the if you for the Hopper 8K BIOS you can use 76800. But for Hopper itself, 19200, because it doesn't support X on X off protocol. So you might swamp to a serial port. If you run it 19200, the sort of default on here is a 4 megahertz CPU, and at 4 megahertz 19200 it can keep up just fine. All right, so at that baud rate, let's launch the Hopper monitor. It's connected. It knows there's a program loaded. So if I run here, it's going to carry on blinking. Oh, we uploaded Mandelbrot, so Mandelbrot was starting again. So, yeah, and question mark here, you can see what all the other things are that you can do in here. We can also just run it from the terminal. So I think we can just quit out of here, run the Hopper terminal, which will sit and do nothing there until I restart the machine. And then it should start up the Mandelbrot. There it goes. Yeah. Very good. If you have questions about this, or you have trouble getting your MECB 6502 to work, let me know in the comments, and I'll give you an invite to the Discord server. And there's a couple of us there figuring out how to make it work and diagnosing the problems. And we'd be happy to help. Or go to Greg's forum on Digicool Things. People there are pretty friendly too. But obviously mine is more specific to the software that I'm getting up and running on it. So thank you for watching. And yeah, if you're interested in this MECB, watch the MECB playlist that's at the end of this video.